Hello, everybody, and welcome to Marma J DAO Live. Chloe Lewis here, founder of the Marma J Foundation, and today I'm going to be talking about something a little bit different. So today I'm going to be talking about Temple University and my general research interests. So for those of you that don't know, I started doing my computer science degree last year at the University of Windsor. I was doing a fast-tracked degree, and now this site's not working. Decision neuroscience. Decision. I can't even spell right now. Yeah, let's go here. So I was doing my undergrad degree in computer science. It wasn't necessarily the most entertaining, but I learned a little bit. But through that experience, I actually ended up dropping out because I got offered a position being a research intern for HashCloak. It's a research, blockchain research firm in Toronto. I was working remote. I was a research intern. So I wasn't high up or anything, but it was a lot of fun actually to spend all of my time researching validator privacy at that point in time. And so if you know me, currently one of the goals for the Marma J Foundation is to run a validator, a chunk producer specifically, on the Near blockchain to support the ecosystem. And so I've been looking for a kind of PhD program to continue that kind of pathway of being able to do research full time at some point in time. And I pretty much still consider myself a researcher. I pretty much play around with blockchain tech and blockchain tools. But I want to use this time to kind of go over what the goals are over the next couple of years, kind of how all of this might relate together in some way. And so this is Temple University. It's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And they have a PhD program called Decision Neuroscience. Now, Temple is a research institution, and so it's, in my opinion, pretty cool. It's fully funded. I wouldn't have to be worrying about paying for the degree. A few years ago, I got into my PhD in psychology, but it was like 60 grand US a year. And so over the past few years, I've been trying to figure out or reconcile, how do I spend my time researching all day when I need to figure out how to have 60 grand a year to pay for it. So obviously I had to have a job and then work as well as research. And so this seems a lot more feasible to me. And a lot more efficient as well. So this video is hopefully going to be relatively quick. It's enough of the intro. Let's get into it. So first, I'm going to be going over what is the Doctor of Philosophy in Decision Neuroscience. And then I want to talk about how it pertains to the Marma J Foundation, what we're doing now. So from a high level, before we even dig into this, my research interests usually concern, decentralized governance and how that can officially support communities. And in that, it's usually in like three key general areas. One of them being sustainability. So for example, being able to run a validator might help you to be able to support the entire blockchain community, as well as be able to earn rewards on a long-term basis, so you understand that you're running a sustainable on-chain system. Also, if you're having votes and transparency and accountability is another area I think is very important. And all these ideas are kind of connected, but the idea of, if all the transactions, including the votes, the rewards, who's getting funded and paid out in this decentralized governance system is all trackable and viewable on the blockchain, on a public blockchain, then you are able to securely trust the system you're building on. And then also, alongside with being able to be sustainable and being able to do things in a way that is accountable and transparent. The idea is also to be able to efficiently collaborate together. So that's like high level. The three areas I like working on is how do we efficiently collaborate, how do we use decentralized governance to grow a community sustainably, and how do we use all of that to do things in an accountable, transparent way. So The Doctor of Philosophy and Decision Neuroscience from Temple University's Fox School of Business. It's a lot of philosophy, neuroscience, and business. Interesting. Provides doctoral students with the foundation, tools, and support to conduct cutting-edge research in order to better understand how people make choices. So that kind of, in my opinion, goes, the first sentence there, cutting edge research in order to better understand how people make choices, to me sounds like a lot of fun, sounds very enjoyable and very efficient for the work we're already doing in the Marma J Foundation. The field of decision neuroscience and related areas such as neuroeconomics, like we talked about, sustainability and social economics and decision making based on rewards and incentives, and neuromarketing. So how do you maybe support someone in understanding what decisions can be made within a certain ecosystem, allows the exploration of psychological, economic, and social phenomena such as addiction, consumer behavior, interpersonal conflict, and risky choices. Now, if you're in the blockchain space for any number of time, one day, 1 year, you'll understand that a lot of this is prevalent in the system. So addiction into DeFi, gambling, Ponzi systems, consumer behavior. So, you'll see people, I used to be a full-time trader, and you trade 20, 30, 40 hours at a time because it's just, following the hype of something. Interpersonal conflict. So, decentralized governance right there is how do you come to consensus as a community in various ways. And risky choices. Solana went down, the blockchain went down for 12 hours yesterday. Ethereum got hacked. Or got attacked, I should say, and Arbitrum, layer 2 solution, went down for a few hours yesterday. So a lot of $2 billion was in Arbitrum when it went down for a few hours, for a little while. And Solana's a $10 billion currency that went down for 12 hours. So arguably, using these platforms can be very risky. So a better understanding of that would be very efficient, in my opinion, at running the Marma J Foundation and trying to most efficiently run this community. So these fields of study prepare students to pursue careers as researchers in academia, as well as roles in business, healthcare, and social service industries. So it's kind of interesting because, in my opinion, the Marma J Foundation is meant to cover a variety of industries. So in my opinion, we already cover a lot of business. So we're, giving out grants. We are, participating in decentralized finance. We're participating in proof of stake systems. So clearly there. Healthcare is actually an area that the foundation would love to work at. So the idea would be that anyone who has a certain role in the DAO would be able to also, participate in, community healthcare systems. There are a lot of these that actually exist in the United States, for example. Usually they're existing in churches. The idea being that you buy into some healthcare coverage insurance system, and then if you need the healthcare, you can go kind of attain it without actually having healthcare. It's a pretty interesting system. And I think with a DAO, it would work really well. You pay a DAO membership fee, and as long as you can prove you're on that DAO and you've been on it for a month or for a certain epoch, a certain period of time, you might be able to then get insurance services globally if the DAO has then managed to secure those deals with insurance providers globally. So for example, they do have global insurance that you can get if you're traveling, for example, and that could be something that the DAO offers its members. So as one of the few schools offering this cutting-edge doctoral program, Temple provides students with the unique opportunity to work alongside faculty who are at the forefront of their field. Let's open that in a new tab. We'll look at that in a second. Highly awarded and frequently published in top-tier research journals such as the Journal of Marketing Research, the Journal of Neuroscience, and Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences. Pretty cool. So in this inherently interdisciplinary program, which is awesome because I'm kind of doing my own thing already, students work closely with faculty and students from different academic areas to conduct research in a variety of fields, including business administration, economics, engineering, philosophy, physics, and psychology. In addition to a collaborative academic environment, students have access to Temple's state-of-the-art research facilities such as, lots of wonderful. This is kind of cool. Center for Neural Decision Making sounds like fun. Cognitive Neuroscience Library actually sounds like a lot of fun. This sounds like a lot of fun. I've already kind of gone through this a few times, and I'm already in the process of applying, to be fair. But still, I think it's really cool to kind of dig through it all at one point in time and see why is this the plan that I'm taking. It might take a while to kind of go through it all. But let's go through the rest of this page. So you can request more information, which obviously I already did. So yeah, so the PhD curriculum structures to prepare students for individual research by combining classroom learning with hands-on lab experience. Specifically, all students will be required to complete 2 lab rotations in their first year as part of their curriculum, an aspect that is unique to this program. Learn about research opportunities for Fox students at. That's not really too important to me. There's lots of research opportunities all over the crypto space, and I love doing crypto research in general. And I've had no limit of the amount of research I could conduct over the past year or so, which has been really fun. Okay, so request information, I've already applied. Classes and curriculum. So what is it going to look like for me if I get into this program for next fall? So in the first 2 years of the program, doctoral students complete a seminar, required and elective coursework, and research rotations that prepare them for independent work in the field of decision neuroscience. Some of the courses options as follows. So Introduction to Decision Neuroscience sounds relatively straightforward. Seminar in Cognitive Psychology sounds relatively interesting. Seminar in Judgment and Decision Making sounds like a lot of fun, to be fair. At the end of 2 years, PhD candidates take a comprehensive exam, at which point they can begin to work on their dissertation with their research advisor. I'm actually looking forward to this. So the first 2 years, seminars seem fine. I did my master's in sports psychology, had a lot of fun. I was working on social support and how social support can support injury prevention and rehabilitation in general. And so in my opinion, moving that onto my dissertation, which would probably be something very similar, but instead of speaking about how social support is helpful, which I think is a fact, I think it's well known that social support or even perceived social support can support individuals and communities. But now I'd like to actually work on implementing that thesis, I guess, that I worked on in my master's, and actually how do you most efficiently create a system or an ecosystem that provides, social good or social impact for a community. So the most efficient social impact that someone can have with their time, energy, their decision making, and so forth. So more about the club program, and there's related graduate degrees and tuition and blah blah blah, and it's fully funded. So yes, they have prices, but from what I understand, regardless, the doctorate programs are funded. So it would be arguably free, for me to research. So let's look more. This is the exact same page I was just reading. So. So I think this was one. This is the Center for Applied Research and Decision Making, which is pretty interesting. Our mission is to promote applied interdisciplinary research and decision making. Interesting vision. To be a thought leader. Interesting. Cool. Interesting enough. I've kind of looked through some of this already. So if you actually care about any of this, I'd suggest there's a link in the bio for this description, and I would decide to look into it. About the Olson Lab. Very fun. So this is what they're working on now. So development of episodic memory. That sound okay. Yeah. So a lot of this stuff to me sounds really fun. I mean, I was going to do my doctorate in psychology. I wanted to be a sports psychologist for youth elite athletes for a while. But this is the plan for what I'm going to do for a while. I actually wanted to go through some of this other information. So that was very, very high level and very basic. So, okay, so I'm working on, I've already done this, bachelor's degree, minimum 3.0. So I already have my master's, so, that's fine, and my GPA was much higher than 3.0, so that's great. Bianca, my wonderful partner, has worked on my new resume, which is super cool. I'm actually excited to, show that off to people now. That looks somewhat normal. Transcripts. The ideal candidate has earned a GPA of 3.7 in both undergraduate and graduate degree programs. Okay, well, I think I got a 3.9 in my master's, so I think I should be okay. I can't remember what I got, honestly. It was a while ago now. Letters of recommendation. So I'll probably be looking to my near counterparts for that. Most of my professional career recently has been either independent research, so at HashCloak or stuff like that, or with Near, to be honest. So I'll probably be looking for a little recommendation from my managers or coworkers at Near, the Near Foundation, Essays, super fun. So I'm going to be writing a short essay about my research goals. So pretty much what I talked about at the very beginning of this video. So using decentralized governance systems to efficiently support communities, to with sustainability, accountability, and efficiently collaborating with one another in a community. So the first essay should address my goals and motivations, so I got to write that at some point in time, as well as detailed his or her general areas of research interest. So, I want to complete this PhD because I want to. Ooh, there's some crazy thunder out there. Because I want to ensure that as we grow the Marma J Foundation, we actually have a pretty strong foundation now. Like I've been going through some of the economics of our community. We're able to give out we earn around over $100 in fiat value a day. So which means we're able to give out $500 to $700 a week in bounties and do that continually, which is pretty cool. We have a decentralized governance system built on chain that allows, first of all, us to come to consensus about whatever we need to as a community in a transparent and accountable way. We're able to sustainably grow using decentralized finance and hopefully a validator and a chunk producer eventually, which also will allow us to validate a full shard. Eventually, the goal is to run a full validator, which is an obscene amount of money at the moment. But as the seat price comes down with chunk producers, it might be more reasonable. And that would allow us to do it securely as well. So the idea would be that if we're validating the entire network, then if an exchange goes down, if the front end goes down for our DAO, anything kind of goes down, as long as we're running our nodes locally, we can still index that data and display it all for our community. So that's about security as well. And that's kind of where it comes down to efficient collaboration, in my opinion. The ability that we've already had, first of all, we've had artists from around the world submit their proposals for how they're going to support the community ecosystem. We've been able to come to consensus as a community and distribute rewards and grants and bounties. It's been really cool. But I would love to see more collaboration just between community members. And potentially, I would like to see the Marma J community able to support other communities as a whole. So not just having the DAO support individual members, but having the DAO support other communities, other DAOs. So that's kind of like where my areas of research are, but I want to make sure that I'm working with other people that are at the height of their research the height of their fields in what they're researching. And maybe, like I said, it's very interdisciplinary. It's very, hands-on in the beginning of the seminars. And then there's, quite a bit of time for dissertation. So I would like to use the Marma J Foundation maybe to reward or to incentivize collaboration amongst my peers for a number of years, which would be really cool. So there's that. Standardized test scores. So the GMAT is required. I don't think I did the GMAT. Did I? I did the GRE. Do I have to do a GMAT? Maybe. I might have to do a GMAT, apparently. So we'll see how that goes. And then I might take the GRE as well. I think as I was going through it, the application, the GRE was also applicable, but we'll see. I did the GRE, not the GMAT. So interview. Candidates may be interviewed after submission of an application. Interviews may occur in person or through video conferences. If an interview is scheduled, on-site interviews are strongly recommended so the applicants can visit Temple. I would love to have an in-person interview. Honestly, Philadelphia is not that far away. It's like an hour and a half away from where I'm currently. And so I'm planning on actually visiting at least the campus or driving through it or something pretty soon. But I would love to go and actually meet the advisors and talk to more people that actually go to the school. So the submission deadline to apply is December 15th for me. I am an international applicant. I am working on my application now. Now it's September 15th. So, I have 2-3 months to work on this, so I'm not really too worried about it. But that is kind of what I am doing right now as the founder of the Marma J Foundation to plan for the next 4 to 8 years of leading this, this community, this DAO. I don't really know. But yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to apply. Let's see what it says. There are some careers and opportunities. So a lot of it's just researchers, as you can see. So some of it's very, generic stuff like social workers, occupational therapists, speech and language therapist. Biomedical engineer sounds interesting, but let's see. The depth of knowledge and research experience the doctoral students gain in this program yields a wide array of professional opportunities in both academia and industry. So because it's interdisciplinary, which is great for me, being in the crypto space, you touch everything like governance, economics, like literally just like oh gosh, so many different things. Psychology, when you think you have a lot of money and your token goes down 90% in 2 weeks, you're like, oh my gosh. Or management of funds, resources, people. So it's really cool. So I think it'll work well with this specific doctorate degree. I think what the issue I had before with doing a doctorate in psychology specifically was that it was a bit too much of one thing. Where now, just in the career that I have, first of all, like adoption lead for the NEAR Foundation, I'm touching everything, right? I'm talking about, yes, a lot of creative communities to adopt NEAR, but also like there's so many different, like there's a private, the Cypherpunk Guild doing so many cool things in terms of like privacy. And I used to research validator privacy. So to me, I want to focus on that. We're talking about the NEAR Week, for example, talking about how, for example, journalists in certain parts of the world, using a public and transparent blockchain might not work well for them, where they need to be able to trust that the blockchain is secure in there, but they also need to be able to submit private transactions so that they don't get seen or found out for the valiant, whatever, regardless of what they're doing, the valiant work they're doing. Here's the curriculum now, digging into actually what we're actually learning. And I'm actually very excited for like these kind of courses. So like problem solving using quantitative research methods. I don't really necessarily like specific marketing courses usually that much, but it's always good to learn what everyone else is learning, if that makes sense. Topical seminar in cognitive psychology. I generally dislike I like textbooks in psychology. I usually don't like seminars. I feel like you learn a lot of psychology based on like reading research papers and then like going out into the real world and like trying to see if that's actually the way it works. But it'd be really cool, in my opinion, because we have the Marma J. We have the Marma J Foundation to kind of be in these seminars and learn from like the text or the readings or the research papers, and then literally try and enact that. Those findings in the real world through the DAO. Course in decision neuroscience, seminar in decision neuroscience. Yeah, sounds relatively, generic in terms of, let's see, seminar in marketing theory development, seminar in behavior, a lot of marketing psychology, behavioral neuroscience courses. Research courses, preliminary examination preparation. Honestly, a lot of this sounds like my master's, to be completely fair. A lot of my master's, again, it was sports psychology, and a lot of that was just like going through not necessarily how you would be a sports psychologist, but how you would research topics in sports psychology. It was basically preparation for your doctorate degree. I'm glad I did it because now I feel relatively prepared. Let's see. Additional requirements. Okay. In addition to undertaking possibly discipline research, students complete research rotations during the first year of study that prepare them for research in the field. Okay. Students are required to complete 2 laboratory rotations in the first year, fall and spring, that would ideally be in different subfields with different mentors. Sounds kind of fun. Students also have the option to complete a 3rd rotation during the summer if they require additional exposure. I don't think I'd be doing that. Again, I usually like to just go out into the world and do my research in a very hands-on way. So I feel like, yes, I'd probably be doing a rotation, but probably not actually with the school. Research rotations are designed to give students a wide range of knowledge in the area of decision neuroscience by being engaged in the research of an assigned lab. That part does sound really fun, though. Actually working with a lab and knowing that like your research is coming together in a greater community. When rotating through a lab or with a research mentor, students are often paired. See, this is the part. Paired with a senior lab member, like a postdoctoral fellow or a senior graduate student, to work on an ongoing research project. I think, again, that's the part where I think is really cool because, again, I can take what we already have with the Marma J Foundation and maybe use that to support the postdoctoral fellow or senior graduate student, or, this postdoctorate fellow or senior graduate student be able to, impart their wisdom on the Marma J Foundation. Now, obviously, there's a different ongoing research project there, but in my opinion, the Marma J Foundation's goal is to support everyone and everything in an efficient way. which sounds like a huge, I was talking to someone about it recently, and I was like, yeah, I don't usually say this to people, but the Marma Day Foundation's goal is to support everyone. If you're a living, breathing human, or if you're on planet Earth, our goal is to at least give you perceived social support. So it might not be possible for us to actually support everyone, but potentially it could be possible for the majority of people in the world to know that we exist and know that they could have some sort of, they perceive that we're there to support them. Which could still bring benefits to their lives, regardless if we ever meet them, see them, or even support them in any way. In some cases, they may be given a new project based on their knowledge and skill levels, so, I mean, that would be cool too. Students are not, however, expected to complete a full project within an academic term. I would love to, though. I mean, I'm a crazy person. But that's what the DAO is for, right? The DAO, the idea of the Marma J DAO is that I wouldn't be doing it alone, right? We'd have an entire community to work towards a lot of these research projects where, yes, I'm leading them, but, if we need participants or we need people to, fill in forms or what else, we have the resources to fund all of that through the DAO, in addition to potential, grants or whatever else we get through the school. So students are expected to conduct research meetings and to be fully engaged in research culture. And I feel like we have DAO meetings every week, and I'm used to conducting DAO meetings for multiple different communities, so that's a lot of fun for me. I think that's part of what I feel like I'm missing in like the Marma J DAO meetings. It's a lot of I'm the one presenting ideas, and over time this has actually been changing a little bit. Where like I think a couple of weeks ago I wasn't even there for the first half of the meeting, and like Bianca and Rebecca were just discussing ideas and talking through things. So it's been really cool to see the evolution of me discussing my ideas to now the DAO coming together and discussing and kind of hopefully soon bringing their own ideas and researching, like me being like, oh, cool, this sounds awesome. Put a proposal in, let's vote. This kind of idea. It's expected that a student will write, submit, and publish articles. That sounds awesome. Now, I'm not usually much of a writer, as you could see. I'm much more of a talker, speaker. I like getting my ideas out for the first time in like verbal format. And then what I love is, so currently my partner is the one who kind of helps me get most of my ideas down to writing. So the way things are probably going to happen for example, publications is I'm pretty excited to like take my initial ideas, get them out into like a blog. I go live 6 days a week now. That's not going to continue past September. It'll definitely be once a week for like the DAO's research meetings, which will be Sundays continually. And then I'll probably break it down to like, once or twice a week that I go live. But it'll, instead of being like just me ranting and raving like right now about like my goals and my research ideas, it'll be a lot more specific into like what I want to talk about. I'll have some like brief notes about where I want to be and keep myself on track. And even that's going to be like the first video that will come down and be like cut up into parts, like efficient, time-stamped parts on YouTube or whatever else, and then from there I will then take that information and write out the paper from there. And this is kind of, again, why I think the DAO is so helpful and important, because it allows me to source ideas from the community, what I should be talking about. It allows me to incentivize those people for bringing those ideas to me, create a video based on that, incentivize someone to cut that video up and make it into an efficient video for the community to learn from. And then I can take that, efficient video and then write a paper out from that I know the community has sourced ideas from, and then it's already cut up into a useful, efficient, format. So grant proposals. Students are expected to prepare a grant proposal for submission to a government funding agency. Now, this is the part that, Rebecca, if you ever watch this part, I'm gonna need your help. I dislike grant writing. When you apply for private funding from grants, a lot of times, in my opinion, you're able to just explain what you're doing, why it's valuable, and why that private company should fund you. And many times, if you can convey that, you're fine, in my opinion. And I feel like I'm usually pretty efficient at explaining the value of something to a different group. That's like what I do every day, like for a living, I guess. I try and explain the value of blockchain, Web3, near protocol specifically, to a wide array of people. So that's usually not very difficult for me. But government funding agencies usually want you to tick the boxes and follow the certain format, and they usually don't necessarily care about the specific project. It's more about ensuring things are fair across the board. So eligible students are also required to write and submit a National Research Service Award proposal at the end of their third year. That sounds like fun. International students who are not eligible for federal grants are encouraged to work on their submissions with faculty members. Awesome. That sounds like much better. So I'm going to be helping. This is where I think the Marma J Foundation excels. And even reading this makes me very happy to know that I'm not going to be submitting grant proposals for myself, but instead I'm going to be helping other faculty members to get grants for themselves. So who knows? Maybe this will just be like yes, I'll help other faculty members, but maybe I would love to give grants to my peers and students and faculty members. That would be super cool from the Marma J Foundation. So culminating events. So we talked about this already, the comprehensive examination. End of the second year of study, each student must propose and defend a major area paper in his or her proposed field. That sounds like so much fun. So at my job, doing validator privacy research, I would literally read research papers just 40 hours a week and take notes on them, summarize them, have stand-ups with my boss for once a week and explain what the papers were saying and why I thought they were important. And so the idea of proposing and defending a paper in my field of research of governance and blockchain governance and all that sounds insanely fun. I would do that every single day if that was something that I could do efficiently. That would help the Marma J Foundation. Upon passing the exam, students choose a faculty member from either the Fox School or the College of Liberal Arts as their primary mentor. That's kind of cool too. The idea that I'll be able to choose my mentor from the Fox School of Business or from the College of Liberal Arts. Then dissertation. I'm actually pretty excited for the dissertation. I think that it's kind of going to be the Marma J token white paper that I'm eventually going to actually write out, but a full white paper of the entire, now instead of just the token, it'll be the Marma J DAO paper, in my opinion. And so let's look at it more though. The doctoral dissertation is an original empirical study that makes a significant contribution to the field. So that sounds like a lot of fun. It should expand the existing knowledge and demonstrate the student's knowledge of both research methods and a mastery of his or her primary area of interest. Dissertation should be rigorously investigated, uphold the ethics and standard of the field, demonstrate understanding of the relationship between the primary area of interest and the broader field of business, and be prepared for publication in an academic journal. So again, it seems like a lot of fun because in my opinion, this is what's going to take the Marma J DAO, the Marma J Foundation, from what it was a few years ago, just my idea, a little idea that a kid has, to the first steps of us being on the beach of Antigua, picking up trash, trying to use crypto economics to fund all these ideas, to opening up a Gitcoin grant so that we could get to Antigua and work at a school to make NFTs and just get royalties, to then now having a DAO that's on chain, maybe having a chunk producer to have, security, transparency, long-term rewards. We have a DAO for collaboration, but then making it a real, the part here, it should expand upon the existing knowledge and I don't really care about demonstrating my knowledge. I mean, I'll obviously have to do that, but the idea is we're making a significant contribution to the field. If we can take what we've been doing at the Marma J DAO and make a significant contribution to the field of decentralized governance, to the field of, efficiently collaborating within communities, to the field of sustainability for community treasuries or any of that, that would be amazing. So the doctoral advisory committee is formed to oversee the students' doctoral research and is comprised of at least 3 graduate faculty members. 2 members, including the chair, must be from the students' department. The chair is responsible for overseeing and guiding students' progress. Basically, you have to do your dissertation. Yeah. Super cool. So you got to confirm a time. You go. It sounds like a lot of fun, honestly. That sounds like the main reason I'm actually doing this is to get to the point where I can make a significant contribution by not just doing all of these crazy ideas that are all scattered to support the Marma J Foundation and there to support the wider community, but to actually break it down into a paper or something that actually culminates that we can all work on as the Marma J DAO together and figure out how are we actually going to use what we're doing and use our energy and use our decision making to support the wider community. So we're going to work to impact the world through community engagement. That sounds great. Government and industry collaborations, we just talked about that, like supporting community and collaborating across communities. Relevant research and education, so obviously we already educate through the Marma J Foundation, which is super cool. And strategic partnerships, that sounds like fun too, I guess. But research institutions, lots of fun stuff. In order to aid in the creation and dissemination of academic research, they're going to help me with copy editing, grant writing support, proposal preparation, research dissemination, and securing funding. Very cool, because even through learning how to do all this stuff, this all sounds like stuff the Marma J Foundation's already involved in. We're already involved in working on, securing funding, like how are we ensuring that we have a long-term treasury to fund our goals. We already kind of work on the research that we do, how do we disseminate efficiently. Now, we don't work on disseminating it efficiently that much yet, but as we get more of our content and our blogs and our educational content down into like a written format on our website, that's part of it as well. Proposal preparation, that's always a fun one. I mean, obviously these proposals are a lot more probably well thought out and thorough than what we're doing, but a lot of these ideas can come to the DAO, can get implemented into like a primitive that we start to use in the DAO. Maybe we have our own discourse server in the future. Maybe we have a nice little proposal template that comes from all these ideas, would be so cool. Grant writing support. So the idea being, in my opinion, yes, I want to learn how to do this too. That's great. But the Marma J Foundation, like when someone comes to the foundation and says, hey, I would like $10,000 to enact this proposal. First of all, the proposal needs to be well thought out and thorough, or else we're not going to be able to come to consensus and make a decision efficiently on that. And also, I would like to help the people writing proposals and wanting grants. Like I want to help people to get that money, and so if the better I am at writing for grant proposals, the better we will all be able to instruct the community and support the community in that. And copy editing, we all know I can't spell, so I shouldn't say that out loud, but spelling is not something my brain ever thought was that important, because computers just help you do it. And I used to read so much, my brain would just skip over the word completely, and it just love to feed itself with ideas over the actual specifics of what letter was in each word. I feel like that explains kind of why I want to take this path for the Marma J Foundation. As a leader of the Marma J Foundation, I think it also explains what I'm probably going to be doing and how hopefully that'll support not only what I'm doing, the Marma J Foundation, hopefully the greater NEAR community and the Web3 community in general. Like I don't want this to only be something that supports like NEAR ecosystem, or even I want to support the entire open web. The entire open community that wants to figure out how they can, take their community of people, regardless of where they are. They could be across the world, they could be across a room, and how do they efficiently come to consensus? I mean, decision making is consensus, in my opinion. So I do consider myself a consensus researcher. I love figuring out how computers and nodes come to consensus. But in the end of the day, we are all, in my opinion, nodes, much more important than the computer nodes we plug into the wall. And if humans can't come to consensus, then yes, computers can help. But at the end of the day, the only reason, in my opinion, we have these computers to make decisions for us is that so humans can efficiently make decisions. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to check if anyone left a comment. No one did, so that's great. I'm not great, but I don't want to miss people's comments. But yeah, hopefully this helped explain, if you see me going like, oh, I'm doing my dissertation, or oh, I'm in class, or oh, whatever else, this is why. I am planning on writing this out, probably like tomorrow. It's only a 1,000-word essay. So I'll probably just take this video, write out, the quick points. Again, the three main points. Again, that's a 38-minute video to explain one sentence point. So if anyone wants to know what Chloe's general areas of research are, yes, at a high level, it's just consensus. Oh, I'm cramping. My leg's stop talking. So the general area of research for me is just consensus research. I like figuring out how we can come to consensus and make decisions efficiently. But in action, that I think talking too much about nodes and computers kind of goes a little bit too abstract for many. And so the hands-on way that I feel it's efficient to work on this is through, decentralized governance, to efficiently support communities, collaborating and working together, supporting them with long-term sustainability and viability in that collaboration, and then to be able to be accountable, transparent, and secure with the work that they're doing to work together and make decisions. Hopefully you can see that in what we've been doing so far at the Marma J Foundation. I'm applying soon, and when I hear about getting in, I'll let the Marma J community know. That's all for me. See y'all tomorrow for my next live stream, and hope you're all having a wonderful day.